So you tell.
Okay. Well, actually, when I was a senior in high school, I had a party at the house. Mom and Dad were home, and no alcohol. It was a nice high school party, but some college kids came, crashed it, and threw the lawn furniture in the pool. And of course, Dad scrammed them all out of there and everything, and so that was no problem. That was the first party I ever had. But Mom and Dad were home. Then when I was what?
Ben Black.
Yeah, wait. That's coming up.
Bob
That's
Blacks.
I actually had graduated already and was going to AR, and Mike Dunlap, where you stayed, and Bob Miller and Rick Heilman and Roger, the boys from San Lorenzo were coming up for a visit. So they wanted to meet some of my girlfriends. So I had them over. Well, a party ensued, and all kinds of people came. And I didn't even know. From far and wide. I mean, it was, anyway, so the police were coming, and everybody started running towards the sliding glass door, and I was afraid they were going to run right through it and break it. So I opened the door. They ran out, jumped over the fence, but they knocked down. There was a field behind us. No houses were there yet. They knocked the fence down, and but the next day, several of the fellas came back and rebuilt the fence and even stained it to look just like you couldn't tell that anything happened.
Wow.
But
pretty good.
Wasn't that Ben Black?
You told me that it was.
Yeah, that's what Dad always told me.
Okay, so I told Mom what happened because the policeman said, we're coming back to tell your parents, which they didn't, but I went ahead and told Mom. She said, well, we won't tell your father. And so several days had gone by, and Dad was out in the field with one of the dogs that he had.
The other side.
And of course, the backside showed new boards. All the other boards were weathered. And I was standing at the sink, and I could see him going, and he's pointing all
like,
these.
oh no.
And I said, Mom was in the garage doing laundry. I ran out and I said, Mom, Dad saw the fence, And anyway, I didn't really get in too much trouble.
Yeah, but was that the time he slapped you in the face once?
I maybe it was. I don't remember. But had another party.
She always had a party.
Well,
she had great
I
parties.
didn't actually even have these parties. It's just that Mom and Dad were always gone on the weekends, and people
Well, it was hunting season. It was October.
Yes, and people would show up. But this one time, and that was when Roger and they came.
Yeah,
they all came up from San Lorenzo. Came up. Mom and Dad came home, and my girlfriend Robin was throwing up in their bathroom in the toilet. And anyway, but Dad made all the guys from San Lorenzo spend the night. He said, "You guys are not driving back." And in the morning, they cleaned the pool and they were doing stuff. And Dad made them breakfast, but he also made them Bloody Marys. He said, "You have to have."
What?
He said, "You have to have a hair of the dog."
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know.
Oh,
Sounds
they're
like
still teenagers, right?
Well, they were college. They're college,
Yeah.
but yeah. But
Not
Dad
the 21.
he was very cool about the whole thing.
Yeah.
I didn't
Well,
get in trouble
no,
on that
since
one
they were little
because
boys.
it was the kids that he knew from growing
It was
up.
guys too.
So and it was guys, and so he was very cool with the whole thing. I really didn't get in trouble on that one, but
Well, I remember coming home. I don't know which one of your parties, but she had epic parties. I was at a La Sierra high school game. You're young, you're in the cheerleading section, and you're rah-rahing everything. You're in 8th grade, going to be a high school person. And I came home, and literally, you couldn't walk in the
you
front
couldn't.
door.
It was packed.
It was like this. And I said, excuse me.
But
I live here.
I live here. And I couldn't get in because there were cars up and down around the block,
yeah.
like a wedding or something somewhere. Yeah.
Well, it had to be 62.
Oh, when was it?
Yeah.
So we were living there. We were.
You were married.
Yes, and so we lived in.
You lived down the street.
Yes.
You were probably you were
she was
probably
in
in Hilltop.
Apartment in
Oh,
Carmichael.
yeah.
That's right. You were in the apartment in Carmichael.
Yeah.
Because we moved
But
in when I was pregnant.
I don't think I had any parties after that. But the thing is, nobody destroyed the house other than when they jumped over the fence. But all those other parties, nobody ever broke anything or did anything. Okay.
So this is 1962 now, and this is my wedding, and I have a picture that I would like you to take a picture of. So do you need to do it now, take a break and do it, or you can do it later? perfect. Everybody in the family was in my wedding. And my friend Susan Churchill. And then after we got married, we moved into a duplex. Well, shortly after, where all three of us, Barbie and Wilson, there, and then Joanne and Joel, and her two little girls.
That was 1965.
You guys were all neighbors.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember
All
that.
three of
We
us
moved
moved
in
in.
65.
I vaguely remember
Right, you
that.
moved right after Brian was born.
Because Joey was born there,
Yeah,
not in the house, but.
yeah.
Mhm.
Brian was too, but
Yes.
you moved right after that. Actually, when I was in the hospital after Brian was born, you came in, and the nurse came in and said they wouldn't let anybody in but family, and you said, "I'm the grandmother." I remember that. She goes, "Well, I'm the grandmother."
You're so funny.
So anyway, so time moves on, and then you in junior high babysitting these two.
Oh, Lord. This is a terrible story.
Do we
I was
have
in
to
eighth
tell
grade.
everything?
I know. And I was like, Miss Popular, I was cheerleader and blah, blah, blah. And I thought there's no way I'm missing the first school dance because I'm popular. And I'm young and stupid. And I had to babysit you two because mom and dad went somewhere. And I thought, I'm going to dance.
And now, how old were they?
I was, I was 13. You're 5 years younger than me, so what were you, 8?
Yeah.
I thought she's old enough.
So you're
She'd take
5.
care of
I was
me.
4.5.
4.5 and 8.
I went to the dance. I'm having a blast. All my friends. All of a sudden, I hear Maria and Hutton, please report. I see Jerry and Joel. Here's Joel. His legs apart, and Jerry. Both of them did the same thing. I thought, how humiliating. So I had to leave.
How did they know? Did I
You
call
called.
somebody? Did I call somebody? Or?
You
told-
brat.
You tattle talk.
Trouble.
I probably was scared to death.
I know that. 8 years old.
Somebody help me! I'm all alone with this brat brother of mine
That you've tried to kill several times.
that I tried to kill, but I
Yes.
never accomplished it.
Yeah.
It's a good
Well,
thing.
didn't we used to make jokes about how much calmer it was and more peaceful when she wasn't there
Yes,
babysitting?
yes.
Because-
She was the
Yeah,
worst
'cause when she
babysitter.
Oh, I
babysat
know. I
us,
hated babysitting.
she would try to freak us out. We were little kids. We fell
I
for it.
did?
There's somebody out there with a gun.
Oh, I know.
And
I
she
was,
was,
well, you would be
Oh,
Barbara.
there was a
right?
car that backfired. She goes, "Oh, they shot at me." Remember that? We were
Oh, yeah.
little kids.
I do. I remember that.
Wasn't
What
it?
the
You
hell?
I had a bowling pin
Yes.
from the bowling alley,
Oh.
and you had something
A knife.
like one of your
A
knife or
or
something,
something.
and the car backfired, and you were peeking around
I remember.
the front door, and Pat and I were like,
Oh.
and she falls on the ground, going, "They shot me!" We're like, "She's shot!"
You're a terrible babysitter.
I hated babysitting. But Barbara.
So when she missed, Debbie and I were like, "Oh, thank God she's not here babysitting us now."
Yes.
Darn, she's still our babysitter. But Barbara and I were there alone one night, and there was someone in the backyard.
There
Is
was
that
someone
right?
in the backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you can.
And we ran in, I ran in and got Dad's pistol.
Oh,
We were so
that could have
hysterical.
ended badly.
We're holding
Yeah.
the
Well,
gun.
it
both of us
freaked me
screaming.
out. I've never had a gun in my hand before.
But Dad was really good about not having them loaded, right?
I don't know.
They're
I
always
think
loaded.
I think it was
They're always
loaded.
loaded.
They were always loaded.
Oh, yeah.
I was just freaking out, and I just felt like I had to shoot, like I was going to shoot the floor. I was afraid I was going to shoot Mary Ann, and we're both screaming.
I know.
I'm holding the gun, and we're
So
both just
stupid.
screaming.
It's cocked and everything. We're so
It was like-
Why didn't you shoot her?
Probably the deer got that.
Anyway, we got the gun out of my hand, but really, we saw somebody walk by the patio.
It
But it was
was-
probably somebody thinking that we were going to have a party.
Maybe.
You know, I don't know.
Oh.
It was scary though.
You
That's the
poor
only time
kids.
I've ever had a gun in my hand, and it freaked me out.
It would freak me out seeing the gun in your hand. That's for sure.
I'm glad.